Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're taking a look at the 1909 horror short story by Edith Nesbit, who wrote as E. Nesbit, writing in the pulp era. It's more than 100 years old. It's the 8th short story in this 10-story collection. So there's 2 stories left. It's about 24 pages long. I knocked in this oversized collection and I knocked it out last night in about 45 minutes. So it was a lot of fun. Definitely enjoyed it. This is the third thing that I've read by Edith Nesbit recently. I just read in the previous collection that we did a deep dive into. She had a horror short story in it, which I liked. And then in between these two collections, I picked up one of her novels, a children's novel in the fantasy genre called The Enchanted Castle, which I read. Didn't like it that much. Now this is the third short story that I've done pretty quickly in back-to-back things. For you folks, I like it. I like her horror stuff a lot. I just didn't like the children's things. I thought it might be my new thing, right? I might pick up a bunch of her novels that are children's novels, right, and go back and reread them. But it just wasn't to be after reading that first one. I wasn't that impressed, and there were times when I was pretty bored, so I didn't give it like the best writing ever. But to be fair, it also didn't have chapters or sub-paragraphs or art or subdivisions of sections when one section ends and another section begins. Right, it was just one rambling, like 135 page long novel, which is pretty bleak, and it was very dense writing, so it was longer to read than you normally might think 130 pages would be. So it just wasn't impressing. But I'm back to her now with this short story. Liked it a lot. I did read a short story of hers called Man Size in Marble when I was a kid, in a used horror collection that I got for Christmas from one of my family that they picked up. So I liked that short story, and so I've always liked that a lot. I haven't gone back and reread it for this channel, which is something I definitely would be open to. I tried to see if I could find one of her collections, like a modern collection of her horror stuff, and I just couldn't find it. So I'm going to be linking you in the comments below to the Promethean Horrors Mad Science collection that we've been reading a deep dive into by the same publishers as a previous horror collection that we did a deep dive into, the botanical horror one. And then I'll also try to find this for you online. It's past its copyright date, obviously. Something is more than 100 years old. But so I'll try to find it, but no promises, right? But I'll try to find it and see what we can find for you, folks. So now let's go ahead and start my review. As a reminder, I keep my reviews spoiler free, so this won't be that long or that detailed. So the basic concept that you're going to find out pretty soon is that our main point of view character is somebody who has been coming up is the mad scientist in this collection. And he has been, we're going to find out early on in his life, we'll be tracing him and finding out that something tragic has happened to him in the news. And so now we're going to open up with his life story, being told without all the news and the gossip and so forth, and this is sort of the true facts of what actually happened behind the scenes, right? So that's sort of the framing story. And then we'll get started with him as a kid, and being friends with this woman who's his second cousin, and they're going to become romantically engaged, and then they wind up becoming betrothed, but she doesn't want to marry him because he's a vivisectionist. She wants him to give up being a vivisectionist. But he's very deep into that genre. So he's our point of view character, the one whose life we're following, the vivisectionist, and what happens next, and so forth. And will he wind up following for her, or what wind up stuff does he wind up happening? And about 5 or 6 pages in, you're going to find out that he discovers this drug that has some benefits. He's going to try it on himself, and that's about 40% of the way through. So I'll stop it there. So anyway, the drug is pretty cool. And I was reminded of another drug horror short story about Arthur Machen called The Great God Pan. And The Great God Pan, we have a character whose eyes are introduced into what actual reality is like, and then some bad things begin to happen to them. That is also in a H.P. Lovecraft short story in selection. We just went back and read for you and reviewed for you called From Beyond, where a similar story happens, and a person's real perceptions have been opened up to reality, and bad things begin to happen, right? Once that reality begins to invade. So these sorts of things that are happening out there are sort of in play for, both From Beyond and The Great God Pit and From Five Senses by Edith Nesbit. So that's pretty cool, and I liked it. I'm giving this probably like a 7.5 out of 10. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I wanted more. It was well written. But it wasn't perfect. It did have some issues here and there. Some of the descriptions were a little heavy at times. The under the drug scenes were a bit long at times with a lot of description and not a whole lot of plot. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely nice and definitely worth your time, and I think you should check it out. Also, the ending, meh. Was a little mad at times. So, but anyway, I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Again, if you want to check it out, have you read The Five Senses by Edith Nesbit? If so, what'd you think about it? Did you agree or disagree with my 7.5 out of 10? If you want to talk about it further in the comments below, let's do so. If you enjoyed this video, why not hit that subscribe button? There's going to be a lot more of these to follow. As a reminder, the name of my channel, The Worst Thing About New Books, is a quote by a French philosopher named Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones. And in the 1900s, or that's more than 100 years old, short story in the horror genre is definitely older, right? So these are the sort of things that we have forgotten. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.